Roll.
Record, ambitious.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Straight Chilling. Each week, we watch and review a horror film for your entertainment. You can send all questions and comments to straightchillingpodcast@gmail.com. And don't forget to keep chilling.
Yeah, we straight chillin', serial killing. 5 cold feelings on the mic, got you reeling. 5-star ratings from the floor to the ceiling. If you catch a 1-star, no time for feelings. Got a demon DJ, all the ones and twos. By the name of so don't get confused. So grab a seat by the fire, roast them all in two. And prepare to hear the legend of the Straight Chillin' crew.
What up, nerds? Welcome to yet another cursed episode of Straight Chilling. My name is Bob, and I'll be your host for the evening. This is episode number 241, recorded on Monday, November 18th, 2019. Tonight, we're going to be talking about a little movie called Noroi. Fucked it up already. Noroi, I believe. Noroi.
I think it's Noroi, Bob. Noroi.
Oh, well, it's a Japanese film, and I suck at
I think it's
Noroi.
Noroi Jenkins.
It's called
Noroi Jenkins. Is the name of this?
It's Noroi, I believe.
God. The
Thank
name
you.
of this movie is Three White Guys Struggling.
Which roughly translated means the curse. This is actually a Patreon pick. It was chosen by our beautiful, succulent supporter, Jose. Thank you so much, Jose.
Let's objectify all our patrons from now
I know.
on.
He's just fucking hot, dude. I don't really know what else to say about it.
God damn.
Sorry.
I came from a genuine place. I know Bob.
I know.
That was
I
genuine.
know. Before we get into the review, let's. I'm gonna introduce everyone else on the show tonight. First up, calling in from just outside Chicago, we got our boy Randy Gandy G Landy.
What's up? It's your boy just outside Chicago, Stains.
Don't steal my beer, Andy.
I'm stealing your bit.
That's my
I'm
bit.
the Stains boy now.
You're shy Stains.
Dude, that's
I'm
going on the
Stains boy
compilation.
now.
I'm the Stains.
I'm the Stains boy now.
Daddy's little stain. Next up, calling in
Oh,
from
no.
Southern Korea, we got our boy Soju. What's up, Soju?
What up? It's your boy. Saki it to me, Stains. We talking Japan, man.
That was pretty good. That's one of your better ones
Thank
in
you.
recent memory.
Thanks,
Yeah,
Bob.
I'm proud of you.
It's probably just better in comparison to mine.
To Daddy's little stain.
I'll make sure and make you look good from now on. Yeah, it sounds a lot better than Daddy's little stain.
Who's Daddy's little stain?
Oh,
Randy is.
Oh,
Randy.
Lord. I think we need to move on.
Oh, my lord. Yeah,
This is-
we got some housekeeping. Let's take care of it. Quick reminder, we got our December poll pick posted on our Patreon website. If you support us at the $5 level or above, you get the chance to vote on a movie we're going to be talking about this December. The theme for December is movies that we missed in 2019. Last chance for romance. We got 3 movies you can vote between, which are Parasite, Ready or Not, and Daniel Isn't Real. Parasite is very much winning. There's still a handful of people that need to vote, though, so it could change.
How are those numbers looking, Bob?
We got Parasite in first place, then Ready or Not, and Daniel Isn't Real is in third.
Okay.
So
No hard
We'll see.
numbers, Bob.
I don't know. Parasite's around 60%, I think.
Okay,
So-
that's fine.
And Daniel Isn't Real is like 10 or something. I don't know. It's down there. So I don't know. Ready or Not could rise, overtake
Okay.
it. You never know.
Who knows, man?
You never know. I don't know, man. Also, speaking of Patreon, we have another brand new, just fucking sexy supporter. We got to give a mad shout out to.
Bob is in
big
heat
thanks-
today.
Yes. He's ready for breeding, men.
Big, thick thanks to Mr. John S. for supporting us. And of course, we owe you the Straight Chilling salute. This one is for you, John.
Slap my ass!
Dude,
We're
it's so
slapping
good.
you right in the
We
ass.
have so many Patreons that it's just growing on me. I have to hear it every week, and it just gets
I think
better
you're
and
genuine.
better.
I
and
dream about it.
better.
Yeah, just slapping asses, slapping them.
Just big red asses getting slapped.
Thanks for slapping me in the ass, guy.
Got to keep DJ Elzebub's ass nice and red.
Thanks, man.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Justin, you have quite a bit of news. Why don't you lay it on us, big dog?
It is a big week for housekeeping. We have a big announcement, but before I
Got a big mess to please.
before I get to that, real quick, let's go ahead and do our poster giveaway from last week. So last week was Dr. Sleep, a new movie. I get some Korean posters here in Korea. And so we're giving it away to anyone who liked and commented on our behind the scenes Dr. Sleep YouTube video for the podcast. Thank you, everyone who commented. I put all of the names into my website, Random Name Picker. And the winner is, let me click the button. It's going to do a little spin. Yeah.
The anticipation.
Oh, shit. Matthew Stinson from
Hey,
Jacksonville. Yeah.
Big Matt.
Woo.
Get out of town tonight.
Also, my brother Austin also commented. I know he just won like the Blu-ray package. I was like, well, random name picker. So, but
I was wondering if his name would come up and how much nepotism jokes would be required of that.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you to everyone who commented on that. Really helps people find us on the YouTubes, and you got yourself a free poster, my man. So we might already have your information. If not, I just need your shipping address so I can ship that poster to you, my guy. So you can send that to straightchillingpodcast@gmail.com. And it's possible we already have it as well. So yeah.
No, we don't.
Okay.
We're gonna need it. We're gonna need it, man.
We're gonna need it. If you
Rob
want
just cross-referenced his kill list, and it's just not there.
So yeah,
Not
poster
yet.
giveaway complete. Now for the big news. We've been teasing it for the past couple weeks, getting you guys ready. We are less than 2 weeks away from the start, so now we got to kind of get down into it. Straight chilling hashtag hard with us crew. Get excited. We got something coming up for you guys. It is the end of a decade, possibly the best decade in horror.
Possibly the last decade.
Also possibly.
Possibly. So there's a lot of possibilities kicking around here. We have to recognize it and put our own straight chilling stamp on it. So in less than 2 weeks, starting on December 2nd, we have our official first ever Straight Chilling Podcast Bracket of Blood. We are
Bracket of Blood.
And this is where we would put a bump if we had the foresight to make one.
to actually professionals. December 2nd, we are kicking off our Bracket of Blood. This consists of over 100 films, 112 of our, what we consider possibly the greatest horror films of the decade. They are going to be separated into 4 different categories. So for 4 straight weeks, we're going to be posting polls that you can vote on. The categories of movies that we've separated them into are killers, monsters, haunters, and macabre. So that's 112 movies separated into different brackets, different categories, and you will be able to vote each week on these different movies. Starting on Monday at midnight, we will be posting all the polls for each category. We've got movies going head to head, and they are seated based on things like, I think, Rotten Tomatoes scores. Isn't that right, Randy?
Yeah.
Part of it, yeah.
Yeah. So they're going to be going head to head. You will get to help us decide what are the greatest films of the decade. So
what is the greatest film of the decade?
Yeah, actually, yeah.
Yeah.
What
Going
is
for
the
that
greatest
top
film of the
spot.
decade? Yeah. So, so we're gonna be down. It should be a huge competition. Yeah. Who's gonna take the top spot? Ooh. Oh my gosh. Who's
I'm
it gonna
pretty
be?
interested to see, man, because there's
Yeah.
so much good shit. It's going to be really difficult to pick, like, between these matchups, I think. It'll be interesting to see.
Especially these first few weeks, because these are for the first round, we're all going 4 movies like free for alls for
Yeah.
each vote.
So
You only
we'll
get 1 vote per 4 movies for a little bit in that first round.
Exactly.
It'll be tough to decide.
Yeah.
And so you'll see each category has, I don't know, 28 films, and then they're separated into several different polls where it's 4v4 or whatever. It's 4 movies for each poll. You only get 1 vote. But you will have all week to vote. So the polls will go live at midnight on a Monday, and they will stay live until that same Friday, 11:59 p.m. We will get all the results over the weekend, and we could talk about it on the next episode. And then the next category will be posted the following Monday. So we're going to be it's going to be taking up like the whole month, pretty much, just rolling. And then after that, then that's just the initial categories. Then we have to bring back all the winners, and then they're going to be, and then going into next year, and so we get one single final winner. What is the greatest horror film of the decade?
We will find out.
Come on, Halloween Resurrection. That wasn't too bad, was it?
So
it's still gonna win somehow.
I mean, who knows?
I think this is the biggest event we've ever done. We're going to have some special episodes dedicated to it. The first of which is going to be on Black Friday. So not only are you getting an upcoming event from Straight Chillin' Crew, you're getting a bonus episode next Friday, which is Black Friday, where we are going to be going into more of the specifics of this game. And just kind of running down all the movies.
This ain't no game. This ain't no fucking game, man. We're gonna crown King
life.
Blood. We're gonna crown the King Blood of the decade.
Yeah, King Blood. So yeah, we're gonna be running down all the movies, giving our thoughts and opinions on them, and then at the end of the year too, after all the initial voting has been done for the initial categories, we're going to be kind of rounding it out too and giving our thoughts on who won and stuff like that. So you're getting some bonus episodes, some specific episodes. Of course, we're going to be talking about it in every episode of our show. So it's going to be kind of like a new segment as well. So yeah, I am excited. Got to finish out the year strong. I hope you guys will join us on a lot of the polls will be posted on our socials, so you can vote from your socials. So join us on Twitter, join us on Instagram. They'll also be hosted on our website, straightchillingpodcast.com. We might have some, special content out there on like YouTube and Instagram stories and stuff like that. So subscribe, get ready. December 2nd, Bracket of Blood. Let's go.
Yeah. Haunt the vote, baby. Bracket of Blood.
This house has been kept.
Well, that's got to end every segment from now on.
Yeah, that's pretty fucking great. I don't know why it takes us so long to do these things sometimes, but well done. Yeah, that's about it. Let's go ahead and jump into what we've been watching this week.
Hey gang, what you been watching?
Randy, what you been watching?
I have not watched a ton this week. I did catch Parasite. I was excited to check it out. I'm not going to talk about that because there's a real good chance it's looking like that we will be talking about it shortly. So I have thoughts. I'm interested to talk about it. And if we don't get to do it on the show as a full show, I'll definitely bring it up again. Next, the only other thing I really watched is I finally got caught up on the HBO Watchmen series. And it's not a show, like, I wasn't really planning on watching it. It's just kind of what I was drawn to when I had, like, whatever spare moments I had this week. And, I think I like it. I think I generally...
Gasp.
Yeah, I know. Like, it's not a show that I was, like, particularly interested in, because I love the original, and it's kind of occupies the same space as Star Wars when you start talking about sequels and prequels and stuff for me, where it's just not really interesting to me. But having watched a few episodes, it's trailed me along. And this new episode 5, I think, of 10 or 12, it pretty much sold me on it. They have some pretty interesting things going forward. They're paying a lot of homage to the comic, and there's a lot of, like, good mystery going on, and there's a lot of fucking all the characters, not all of them, but from a good number of the characters from the original comic sort of have their spiritual successors in one form or another. And I think that might be what's really keeping me on board, is just sort of like the speculative fiction of it all. So it's not nearly as good as the book, and it never was going to be, but I'm having a good time with it so far. I'm excited to see where they're going with it.
Cool.
Yep.
Is that it?
So is
That's
it a
it.
prequel? Like what?
No, it's a sequel. It's set in
It's
modern
okay.
day in the world of the comic book version of Watchmen.
Is it supposed to be
So-
like after like the comic book story like takes
Yes.
place? Like okay, in the
So
the wake
without
of
spoiling
that.
the comic, there's
Yeah.
something that happened. All the things that happen in the Watchmen comic are held true.
Okay.
And then it's just sort of everything from like Nixon being president for so long to
Yeah.
what happens at the end of the book.
Are
is
they
sort of-
sticking
they're all
with the
grappling
story
with it.
of the book or the story of the film?
They are not following the film.
Okay, they're following the book.
changes.
Okay,
They're
okay.
following the book. It's definitely meant more for the comic book fanboys than it is for the movie fanboys.
Okay.
Of which I consider myself kind of both. The movie I never had a
Yeah.
huge problem with.
I thought the changes
It
they
was
made
not as good.
made sense, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was just sort of a different. It was just sort of like an alternate take on an already alternate reality. So,
Yeah.
I mean, for me, it worked all right. It wasn't as good as the book, but nothing beats the imagination. And for me, hand-drawn illustrations are always going to trump everything. So
Yeah.
I was never stood a chance really. But as far as this new series goes, it's following the comic, it's paying homage, but it's also creating its own thing and making more modern social commentary in relation to the commentary that it made in the book. Alan Moore hates the fuck out of it, you can bet. And aside from that, that's all I really got. It's worth a watch, I think, if you like the comic.
Sweet. Juice, what you been watching?
I also got to watch Parasite. It was good. I really enjoyed it. Was able to finally find somewhere in Korea where it had the English subtitles. So thank you to the little art house theaters that host like independent Korean movies and Korean movies with English subtitles for us dumbass foreigners who can't speak your language. So appreciate that. Finally got to see. It's been like so frustrating because it came out here, like it got so much hype, and then at the festivals, and then it dropped in Korea, and everybody was losing their shit about it. It was in every major theater, and I just like didn't want to spoil it for myself going to watch it and not understanding like what the fuck, like seeing the scenes, and all the reveals, but not understanding what was happening. So just having to been like they came out here like this summer, like maybe in June or July. So just been having to like wait. So finally got to see that. I was excited. It was really good. And somebody recommended to me Steven Universe, which is a Cartoon Network animation, which is on Netflix now. I never watched it. So I started watching that, and it's very similar kind of in the way I always enjoyed watching Adventure Time. And it's similar, but it's different in the way that I feel like Adventure Time is really like kind of dark and twisted sometimes. Like they lean into like to the darker side of like just like kid animation or whatever, where this kind of like is just like the opposite side of the coin, where it's like similar in the jokes and like the feel, but it's just like overly happy. It's just like this, like they're like short 10-minute episodes, just like Adventure Time, but it's just like overtly like positive and just like sunshine and happiness, which is funny because they do deal with like some really like kind of sad things, but in the way that like Adventure Time kind of leans into it, it seems like Steven Universe just like goes the opposite direction. It's like everything's amazing. So it's kind of interesting. It's good. I'm enjoying it so far, and they're really easy episodes to watch. Like I said, they're super short, and it's it's got this like cute like Cartoon Network charm to it or whatever. So yeah, I've been enjoying that pretty good.
You should check out Craig of the Creek.
Oh yeah,
It's kind of in that. It's a similar vein, but less fantastical, I would say. It's like a bunch of kids hanging out in their neighborhood and imagining things as opposed to, heightened shit happening.
Yeah.
But I like it because Jeff Rosenstock does the theme song, and that's what led me to it. And
right.
Bad Moves makes an appearance. So the creator obviously has me personally in mind.
Of course.
I
It was
love that.
Made for you.
Made primarily for a 30-year-old adult named Randy.
G Landy. This one's for you. Anything else?
No. What
No.
have you been watching, sir?
Oh, let me tell you.
It doesn't matter. I'm sorry.
Oh, if you smell Randy's cooking. I checked out Pilgrim, which is the latest installment from Hulu's Into the Dark series.
Lord. Oh, my Lord.
And how do
my
we
Lord.
feel?
I remember you making me watch that trailer and me laughing at it.
It's actually not bad, though. It's,
Really? Okay.
I was surprised at how much it did not suck.
Wow.
They've been sort of, I don't know, not hitting their stride the past few, for me anyways. So Pilgrim, basically, it's about this suburban family, and they host these...
An intergalactic kegger?
As a matter of fact, yes,
No,
that's exactly.
we're not.
The aliens come to America, and it's this whole like weird reenactment where like we are the Indians, and they slaughter us with their weird intergalactic space blankets that are filled with whatever pox.
Splork porks.
Yeah, exactly. No, so like this. I got the splork porks. This family, they host these people who are like reenacting pilgrims, basically. They dress up in costume. They come to their house for Thanksgiving. They're trying to like show them how to have a proper Thanksgiving and how to actually be thankful for like what they have. And of course, like families fighting, and they're kind of surly. And the dad was, divorced and remarried, and his daughter doesn't get along with her stepmother and things like that. So there's a lot of tension between the family, and these people that are like staying with them just seem off, and the daughter is rightfully pretty suspect of them because they seem like they're fucking psychopaths, and they pretty much are definitely psychopaths. So shit gets pretty wonky and murdery. I don't know. Yeah, it's pretty solid though. I would recommend checking it out.
Cool.
Pilgrim.
Yeah. I'm glad it wasn't completely laughable because that trailer made it look that way.
I think that maybe the whole of Into the Dark, each episode, each movie, kind of hinges on on its trailer, like on how low your expectation is going.
Maybe so, yeah. But yeah, it was pretty decent. I also checked out The Thing, the prequel / remake kind of whatever. The Thing
that came out. We saw it in the theaters together.
Yeah, that was the only time I'd ever seen it.
Okay.
Theaters. So I revisited that. It's getting kind of cool, Florida cool. Anyways, I was like, let me watch some shit with some snow in it.
A temp at 75.
Right. Yeah.
I'm still regaining feeling in my toes, Bob.
I can wear a light cardigan if I choose.
Shit!
Florida winter.
It's paper thin.
Yeah. But I remembered The Thing being really, really bad. It's upon my revisit though, it's nowhere near as bad as I recall it being.
Yeah, I don't recall it being bad.
Really? I don't know. Maybe
I recall it being like fine, not great, but fine. Yeah, not bad.
Yeah, it is not great, but compared to what I had in mind, it was like so much better than that.
Oh, that's good.
Maybe I just read like too many nerds complaining about it online. I had
Group
this
think,
like
Bob.
Maybe I had this like recollection of all of the effects being like 100% CGI and like very half baked, which is not the case. Some of the effects are a little hammy, and there's definitely like some like practical effects that were like CG'd over, which I don't know. It is kind of a bummer to watch this movie that's a prequel to a movie that came out like 30 years prior, and the effects don't look as good as the one that came out 30 years before. That doesn't really make a whole lot of fucking sense to me, other than people are just like, I guess, trying to save money or take shortcuts, shave a couple of days off the production, whatever. I don't know. But overall, pretty solid.
Okay.
Yeah, pretty solid creature effects. And they do this like weird scene that sort of takes the place of the blood test scene from the original. And it's a cool twist on it. I thought it was a pretty cool idea.
Make me want to watch it now because I haven't seen it since we saw it in the theaters. When I don't know what year did it come out.
I don't remember.
85? I don't remember. I'll look it up.
No.
The remake. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I misunderstood what you were saying. Okay.
2010.
Okay, 2000. God
Yeah.
damn, we've been friends too long.
1980, 2010.
True, very true. But yeah, it's decent. It's very similar to the original, just not quite as good, but not terrible. So yeah, it's worth a revisit if you recall it being a huge pile of shit. I don't know, it might change your mind.
There you go.
That's what I've been watching. Let's go ahead and jump into the main event. Start off with the back of the box. We're talking
What's
about.
on the back of the box?
We're talking about Noroi, or how Justin said it.
Noroi.
Noroi
That's just-
Jenkins is what we're talking about today.
Yes.
Well, actually,
Noroi, the curse of the Jenkins.
I think
Mhm.
it's Noroi.
You're
There's
probably
not a
correct.
D in this title, Justin.
He
No,
didn't say
Noroi.
D.
It's like
Nadoi. Nadoi. It's not.
Noroi. It's like an R and an L mixed. It's like Noroi.
Well,
You're so cultural.
the way I say it is exactly how you would think it is spelled.
It's not
Noroi. Noroi. Also known as The Curse from 2005. This little joint here.
Actually, I'm probably pronouncing it really wrong too.
I'm sure you're closer than I.
This is a cacophony of fuck ups in terms of interpretation, in terms of proper pronunciation.
Hashtag facts. This is a Japanese production. The plot synopsis is as follows. A documentary filmmaker explores seemingly unrelated paranormal incidents connected by the legend of an ancient demon called the Kagutaba, I think is how you say that. I'm assuming we have not seen this before, but would you guys recommend people check out Noroi? As far as I know, it is only on VOD and Shudder. I don't know if you can buy a physical copy, but it's out there on the internet. Randy, would you recommend people check it out?
I would recommend people check it out.
Okay. Juice?
It's kind of it's actually a really solid like found footage movie. It's kind of in the vein of like Blair Witch kind of, but it's more like documentary kind of style, like a mockumentary style. So and if you're into that, I know a lot of people, like found footage and that kind of stuff splits people pretty hard, but if you're into that, I think it's a really I think it's well done. And it's on YouTube. I watch this on YouTube with English subs. It's on YouTube. So
Okay, cool.
if you're curious. It's a bit long. It's like 2 hours.
We
but
do not recommend you do that.
Why?
Legally speaking.
Oh, because we're sponsored by Shudder. I forgot. By Shudder.
We're sponsored by not being arrested.
Yeah, even if you don't want to watch
On
this movie, you should
YouTube.
definitely subscribe to Shudder because it's fucking dope. And we don't get paid for saying that at all. It is just
Not
dope.
yet, Shudder.
You have a
Yeah.
corporate account, though.
Which we pay them in full for. Corporate.
That's accurate.
Yeah, I think if you are into found footage, yeah, definitely watch this movie. I struggle a lot with found footage movies. And it's not that I just don't like any of them. It takes, you have to like go so above and beyond to like impress me with one because it just feels like very raw at this point. Like it's hard to make it feel fresh, I guess, because there's so many of them that have come out.
Well, and this came out
but
2005, so
True. That's true. Yeah.
Within the realm of found footage, I think
Yeah.
it's a clearly like a front runner, or like it's clearly sort of on the top of that heap, or
Yeah,
towards it at least.
Yeah, it's when I was watching it, I guess I just kept thinking about this being like a sort of like fucking Hardy Boys, like Nancy Drew, Scooby-Doo head ass. Like we're on this fucking mystery, we're gonna fucking solve it, but it's wrapped up in like a horror found footage movie. So if that sounds interesting to you, slam your eyeballs into it.
I love that interpretation.
That's a white man in his 30s trying to interpret this Japanese
Yeah.
film.
Scooby-Doo.
it's an interesting take, Bob.
Ruh-roh. Yeah, so let's go ahead and drop that spoiler warning and we'll get into the rest of the movie. Here we go.
Spoiler warning.
I just realized we're gonna have a hell of a time just pronouncing any of these names.
Oh yeah, we're fucked.
Oh,
The monster, like we're we can't even
We're
like
fucked.
get close to the
We're gonna go by
proper
roles:
title.
documentarian, actress,
Kazuta.
demon,
So-
and
Yeah,
foil hat.
there you go.
Let me try very quickly to blast through the
Blast
synopsis
through it.
Bob.
because it is cumbersome, and I don't want to like fumble through it over the next hour, or however long we talk about this. I kind of want to just like blast through it real quick and then just talk about chunks of it, you know.
Okay.
Do
So
it.
this movie bounces from like beat to beat to beat to beat to beat to beat. Like it's all over the fucking place.
It's like a
and like after
compilation.
it really is. It's nuts. So like the overall, I'm gonna try and do kind of like a quick high level thing. So we're introduced to this documentary filmmaker, and his
Kobayashi.
name is Kobayashi, and he made one final documentary. He's like this like specifically like paranormal detective kind of guy. Like that's what he focuses on in his films. So he makes this one final documentary, and he dies after completing it. And then through watching his final documentary, there's like some sort of horrific revelation, and we're just told that at the beginning of this movie. And this movie is his final documentary that we're watching. So he's going around and like through stuff that he has shot with his cameraman, and also just like clips that he has taken of various game shows or like variety Japanese television shows. He's just sort of pieced all of this footage together, and we have this documentary. So we're kind of through these these clips from these variety shows. We're introduced to like three sort of psychic, paranormal, sensitive kind of characters in this movie. So we've got the little girl who's like kind of clairvoyant and can conjure things. Yeah, her name is Kana. We're also introduced to this lady named Marika, and she is like actually a moderately known actress. And we're also introduced to this character that I honestly can't remember his name, but he wears a tinfoil suit and hat, so I'm just going to call him Tinfoil. And he is
with
just
an H, I think.
It's
Yeah.
Honey, or I'll look it up.
Something like
that.
His and he's like a super psychic.
Hori.
Mitsuo
Hori. Mitsuo Hori.
Okay. So we're introduced to these three characters, and they all kind of are sensing something happening in different ways, and they're describing it in different ways. And through getting to know them via this documentary, we uncover more and more of what's actually happening. And there is this demon basically called Kagutaba that we come to find out about. And there's this small village in Japan that used to do this like annual sort of I don't know, dance ritual, yeah, I guess, to keep the demon at bay. And the last time that they do it, which was like 1978, it doesn't work, and one of these ladies gets possessed. And
that's Junko.
Yeah, Junko Ishii. Yeah, and so these three people that we're introduced to prior are sort of sensing this happening as she's going about doing horrific things. And we're trying to figure out what is happening by following this documentary filmmaker around. So that's high overall plot. That's like,
and there's also
happening.
like a cameraman and shit, but he does he does his job and does not get involved very much.
Yeah,
True.
This movie gets like pretty convoluted. There were many times where I was confused.
It was really confusing for a little bit, and I wasn't sure how much of that was just my inability to keep up with cultural stuff. I had also had several drinks because context matters.
Oh man.
Yeah, it was tough for me at the beginning, but once I started sort of getting it and sort of like seeing like certain connections being made, I think it was also just the way it was presented, because he really does show like 3 or 4 different disparate strands.
Yeah.
And then sort of funnels them together, and it's a really good effort at that, I think.
That's my favorite part about this movie is because it's very specifically Japanese, in that the clips that he takes from these like variety shows, they just like, they feel very, I don't know, specific to the Japanese culture, I guess. And maybe that's not entirely correct, but that's just how it kind of feels. And like, so the little girl, Kana, like we're introduced to her, and they put like these little drawings in a little egg, and she like holds it, and it's her and like 10 other kids, and they're trying to see if any of them are clairvoyant in any way, and she like nails it. She can like draw exactly what image is in the egg before she opens it and looks at it, and she's like nailing it. And then she gets to this one where it's just like a series of like letters and numbers, I think. And she, instead of writing that correctly, she draws this like really creepy, it looks like an alien face.
Yeah, that's what I thought. And that
It looked
was
like a
the
Majora's
first-
mask.
Yeah, kind of.
That was our first like hint of like, oh, what do we do? And I was like, oh shit, is this going like the sci-fi route? Because then
That's what I thought too, yeah.
Because then the psychic, the tinfoil guy, he gets introduced at one point, and they have like a little discussion with him, and he's talking about these like worms or whatever, these like
reactive worms, plasma
yeah,
worms.
like plasma worms. And I was like, damn, this is going sci-fi. This is going fucking hard. But it didn't.
Ectoplasmic slugs.
And so that was kind of difficult for me because
just a bunch of slimers.
I thought it was going sci-fi, and so I kind of had that expectation, and I was kind of surprised by it, and a little like intrigued and a little excited, like, oh yeah, cool sci-fi, but
yeah,
it did.
I actually didn't get that at all. Like, I mean, I could see why you did, but like to me, it was like that never really infiltrated my mind. I was just kind of following along. What was interesting to me was sort of. Okay, well, like since we kind of have the plot, do we have the plot all sort of mapped out here, or do we have the ending? We have the ending to cover.
Yeah, we didn't really get to the ending, which we can absolutely do if you want.
Let's just do that real quick because I want to talk about it as a whole.
Yeah.
So we kind of, I guess it sort of culminates in whenever we're following Kobayashi, and he goes to the small town, and through various things, he learns more and more about this Kagutaba demon, and he goes and knocks on the door of the woman whom he knows was she
possessed.
participated in, she participated in the last ritual and is probably possessed. Knocks on the door, and she comes out, and he realizes that it's this woman that he interviewed or tried to interview at the very beginning of the movie. And it seems like wherever she goes, terrible things are happening. Marika, the Marika character, is worried that she's going to die by way of this demon. So they go, they take a boat out to the middle of this lake, which the town is now like, it's been flooded. It's been dammed and flooded. And they do this, they perform the ritual on the lake to hopefully like appease the demon and save her soul. And it seems to not go very well, and she looks like she's possessed. And then they run up into the woods, and they find that there's this other horrible thing going on there with all these like murdered
There's another
dogs.
temple that's kind of fucked up with a bunch of murdered dogs and some sort of ritual happening.
Yeah.
And then they see a ghost girl. Who we kind of connect with Kana, the missing little girl, and she is being swarmed with little baby blue fetuses, trying to like nibble on her and shit. It's fucked up.
That was weird.
It's fucked up.
Yeah. So we kind of come to the final scene after that, where we are in Kobayashi's home, and
so like the documentary ends, and then it pulls out from the documentary and says like 2 days after that, this happens.
Yeah. So there is, so the Ishii woman has hung herself. We find out that Kana is dead, and there is a little boy that was with Ishii throughout the movie that we never really see much of. We're just like kind of, he's mentioned, we're like made aware of him. So Kobayashi adopts that boy. He finds out that's actually not Ishii's biological son. He feels sorry for him. He adopts him and tries to take care of him. And so Kobayashi, his wife, and this boy, they're all living in his home together. And the tinfoil man shows up.
Hori.
And Hori. And he is convinced that this little boy is Kagutaba, the demon. Takes a rock, bashes him in the face like violently. And the kid doesn't die. He stands up, and his face looks exactly like that little drawing that Kana made at the beginning of the movie, and also like the mask that's used in the ritual. And little boy kind of like possesses Kobayashi's wife, and she sets herself on fire. And then
they walk out together.
Yeah. They just tinfoil man.
He and Hori walk out together, and then it shows a magazine article that shows pictures of Hori dead and stuffed inside of an air duct, like
yeah,
broken in half, kind of.
yeah. And Kobayashi just goes missing.
Goes missing, yeah.
He's never heard from again. We don't know where he is exactly. So that's kind of the ending there.
Yeah.
It's a bit convoluted, and
there's a lot of more pieces that move throughout this.
Well,
thing,
and at the beginning of the film too, they had already told you like, oh, his house burned down.
Yeah, they told you up front.
Yeah,
like,
he's missing. His house burned
missing.
down. His wife is dead or whatever. So, but then you actually get to see it, like kind of like, oh,
yeah.
You get to see like it's interesting that they did that, because it's like, okay, we've shown you the point A and point B. Let's figure out what's in between these two things, and that's the whole movie, is figuring out what connects those things. I thought that was an interesting approach. And what's like, I don't know, I like that it's sort of like a documentary within a documentary. Like it's the way this is presented is like one of my it has like the biggest plus for me about this movie. The biggest thing it has going for it is its immersion level. Because for me, like a found footage movie, its effectiveness is all about immersion. That's always been true since Blair Witch. Blair Witch was as big as it was because it was immersive through crafty advertising and word of mouth. This movie no movies anymore really have that exactly, but this movie does it pretty well by way of making this sort of like, this is a documentary. There's a reason this guy's holding the camera all the time. There's a reason that they're investigating all this stuff. It's for his career. Like there's like everything is sort of like every and all the actors are so good at playing it straight. Even Hori, who's like the tinfoil hat man, like there's not a whole lot of moments where I'm like not buying it. Like, you know what I mean? They don't overshow, and like I intentionally or not, or because it's low budget, I don't know, but they don't overshow to the point where, you know, with the exception of a few scenes, you could argue, to the point where like you don't buy like what's going on. The stern like lady, the neighbor lady who like curses people, she's believable. The documentarian, he's just going about his shit, like trying to get through it. And there's a reason he believes in ghosts, because he's a ghost hunter. Like that's his specific field. You don't have to worry we don't waste any time with, oh, you believe in that sort of shit, and then, oh no, something spooky happened, so now I believe it. It's none of that. You're just getting right to business. And then within all of that, you're told at the very beginning by someone like who supersedes the director, the documentarian, what happens to the documentarian, and then the whole thing is just sort of like laying it out for you. I think that like really upped the immersion for me. Nobody overplayed it. Nobody oversold their acting position. And as far as like steps you would take, there's a lot of exposition, like a lot of like telling the audience, but that is what would happen if you're a documentarian trying to document, you know, like documentarians, like the editing room is where they do all of their like, you know, their artistic stuff. When they're documenting, they're fucking documenting. Like that's my understanding of how that works. And that's what it feels like. They're taking footage from TV, and they're only like putting, you know, they're putting essential information on screen. They're writing it on screen saying like, oh, this woman and her little girl that we interviewed, they died 2 days later.
Yeah.
I'm like, we don't get to see anybody die, because if anybody was actually dying, then the police would have been involved early on. I think like that to me is the stroke of brilliance with this, is that all of it feels like reality. It's almost like creepypasta. It's like what they do with that now, like videos like Marble Hornet sort of shit, where it's like, it's almost like a collection of ongoing bits of found footage, like YouTube series sort of thing, except it's not like doled out like a comic book. It's doled out like a fucking graphic novel. You got the whole goddamn thing in one sitting, and you get to see the whole journey as part of one story. But it comes in little like bite-sized nuggets that are all like self-contained and satisfying, I think, for the most part.
Yeah, it lost me roughly halfway through, because like I was really on board when we were getting the chunks of the variety show and like slowly introducing these characters to one another and like learning more about them and like these wild things that they're experiencing, like with the little girl who's just has these powers seemingly, and then Marika, who's just like sort of maybe paranormally super sensitive, like she feels like demons, and it almost seems like she's possessed at one point, because she wakes up in the middle of the night and she starts like tying all these weird knots and stuff. And then the tinfoil hat man, it almost seems like he is doing everything he can to just not be abducted by aliens. which is he's the most interesting to me
Yeah.
in a way. But then like halfway through, it kind of abandons all of that originality, and it's just like, okay, well, we just have a few more beats to get through, and there's this curse that we got to figure out how to, you know, get rid of, and then there's a demon, and I don't know, it just loses its spark to me.
Yeah.
about
Really,
halfway through. And
It did
I
the
guess-
opposite for me. It ramped up.
For
Really?
me, it like I was kind of somewhere in the middle to where I like in the beginning I was having a hard time putting all the pieces of the information they were giving me, because like you go to so many different locations, and even now honestly I'm trying to piece it all together in my mind, like why was that woman traveling around? Like now that we know the whole end of like what happens, like oh she
Mhm.
abducted the girl and she was like
Mhm.
feeding her fetuses, and she was trying to use that as a way to like bring it, like I don't like why was she even in that apartment building that they initially like saw her in?
Yeah.
Like why was she traveling around? Like she had a house where she was like
I
based
don't know.
of where that like the whole town was kind of relocated, and like like
Yeah.
so they come across her in like a couple different areas. One is like in this first apartment building where this woman calls Kobayashi. She's like, oh, there's this weird sound, and it's like this baby sound. So he looks out and like, oh, there's this boy in the window, and it's her. And like so that's the initial meetup, and
I
now
think
I'm
him
thinking to
being
myself
there
like
is
why
why
Like,
she's
why?
moving. I think that's
Yeah.
part like
She being
I think
there?
it's
no
yeah, because she's being exposed to somebody who's in the media.
no
But then
No, because the first time Kobayashi sees her is because the woman in the apartment building calls Kobayashi.
Right.
She's saying like,
Right.
"Oh, there's a weird sound," but that why? So it's
So
wasn't
she calls
chasing
him because it's a
Kobayashi.
weird sound. No, she's not chasing him. I'm saying she's running from him. I'm
Yeah.
saying he shows up. And
No, I know, but I'm asking why would that woman? Okay, so Kobayashi
Because she
aside,
doesn't-
why is that woman like traveling around with this boy?
because she's still functioning within society. She has a job where she steals fetuses. You don't get a
Yeah.
job like if you're just like an insane person all the time like that. That doesn't happen. So obviously they have to operate under secrecy, and they have to like if somebody comes around and threatens that, the person who dimed on her and her little girl got murdered, and then she disappears, and Kobayashi happens to stumble upon her through other means because she's hunting the people with ESP in order to do what she does eventually with Kana.
Is that
Mhm.
what it is?
Yeah, so
That's my
that woman
understanding.
is it's like the boy's
Junko.
keeper. She's Kagutaba's like familiar, if you will. Like so they did the ritual and something messed up, and she got like I don't know if she was like absolutely possessed by Kagutaba, but she was like taking control of, and like so
Serving him,
she
certainly.
yeah, she at that point then has to find some sort of medium to like fully resurrect him. This is kind of what I've gotten from.
Mhm.
So she finds Kana eventually and is like feeding Kana these fetuses, and through Kana is able to like bring this demon to her, and she's just sort
that's
of
where
like
the boy
doing his
came
bit.
from. Okay, but see the
Yeah.
boy. I guess that we see the boy at the beginning, and he exists in the apartment building before Kana is like that happens like toward the beginning of the movie, and that's before Kana is taken. So that's
think
I
there's-
guess why I'm
Yeah.
confused about what.
I'm sure he
guess-
could. Yeah, I mean the specifics of the little boy and how that works
Yeah.
is a little bit confusing. I mean,
Yeah.
we only know what we know, and that's another thing that I kind of like because that again is sort of like an immersion thing where it's like, well, you might not have every answer, but we have enough answer to connect these dots. You know,
Yeah.
we might not see every bit of the picture, but we have enough to see the broad picture of it.
And I guess it could be something good or bad. I don't know. I'm still like, because I'm thinking about there's a lot of like details in this movie. And that's why it's kind of hard because through the whole movie, I feel like most of the time they're just telling you things because of the way that it's set up as a documentary.
Yeah.
Of course, you see some disturbing things and you see some things, but for the most part, they're just telling you details and they're unraveling it themselves. So to think like,
Mhm.
okay, I just watched this movie. It's over 2 hours long. Where like literally almost everything is just details, and now I'm still thinking of like, well, shit, there's still like a lot of details I don't, or like there's still like a lot of shit I don't know, and I'm trying to think like, is that good or bad? Like, okay, because they tell
It's
you
good
so
and it's
many
bad.
like specific details, like, oh, he ate like monkey fetuses, and so now she's stealing fetuses. Like there's like down to these like things that like aren't even particularly necessary. And so I'm like, okay, I got a lot of information, but in these kind of broad stroke things, I'm like, I still don't really know what the fuck is going on.
It's pretty bloated, and I think there is a lot that they could have shaved off of this movie, like the stuff
like the
with
knots? Like what's
with
up
the
with that?
pigeons, yeah, and yeah, probably the knots. But even like if you wanted to get like bigger with it, like Marika, the character of Marika, and like her entire plot is. I feel like you could just cleave all of that, and it really wouldn't affect the overall story that much.
Maybe you could, but I think that having her there, sort of as like part of what's happening, is it's showing that anybody who is touched by this thing,
Yeah,
because they're psychic or whatever,
yeah,
everything they touch dies. Like she has a huge moment where her like upstairs neighbor, who she barely knows, kills herself like in a ritual suicide just because she talked to her. Like
I
don't
didn't
know. I think that's
think
impressive.
that's why she killed herself. I mean, maybe because it doesn't tell you, but it seems as though like Ishii moves around a lot, and it seems as though everyone she lives next door to ends up dying. Like
Well,
she
didn't
lives
live
next.
Sorry, go ahead.
Well, that's what I inferred, because everyone else that committed suicide, it seemed that she lived next door to.
Yeah, but the reason that Kagutaba is involved with Marika at all is because she is a psychic who went on a show and then went to his temple or whatever, his shrine,
Yeah.
and then like and was taken notice of because of her psychic powers. Like, and her then talking to her neighbor about like, oh, do you hear these sounds? No, I don't hear these sounds. I think that was it. But I mean, I can see your point, but to me, like there's no evidence to that, but there is evidence that being anywhere near anything to do with Kagutaba is going to get you murdered.
Yeah. And I guess that was kind of hard too, because they were like, oh, you have to do all these things to like resurrect Kagutaba. But at the same time, he just kind of did whatever the fuck he wanted to, because he was able to just infer like a mass suicide, and he was able to, and so they're like, okay, we have to like do these. I have to get a psychic and I have to feed her these things to resurrect him. But then he just took over like Marika, where like no problem when she was at the shrine, and then because he is able to just like touch people in contact with her, then she like all those people, he's able to convince them to do mass suicide. And then all those people, like they had this whole town that's existed for like a long time, like they were relocated, and they were like, oh, they have these sickles above their doors, and they keep dogs and stuff, and then none of that shit matters either, because he just slaughters all the dogs, all the people are dead. And so it's like,
were all the people dead? They were missing for sure.
It seems like there's like very specific rules to keep in place, but then they also throw that out the window almost any chance they get, because like they just want to do some creepy shit. So like, oh, everybody committed mass suicide, and it's like, okay, well, nothing. The dogs didn't do anything. The sickles didn't do anything. These rituals didn't do anything.
Well, the sickles
literally
here's the
takes
thing.
over and does whatever he wants.
The thing is, though, like, I mean, I can make an argument that would sort of like run counter to what you're saying.
Yeah.
And I mean, maybe I will, but it's in general, I think that the finer details are meant to be lost, because this is still at the end of the story. It's a mystery half solved. And I think that's
true. Yeah.
That's what it's supposed to be. To me, that's part of what makes it work, because we don't, it's not going to show you the entirety of Jaws and have it up on a rack for you to look at it at the end of the movie. It's going to show you the effects of Jaws and what the cost is of coming too close. And then at the end of that, because it's a documentary, that's all you get. Like that's what the existential dread of it all is. Now, to speak of the like specific details of that, I could say, okay, they have the sickles, but they didn't perform rituals anymore. They lived nearby, but they weren't actually performing it. And they were interacting with this guy who's trying to expose. And as far as like the girl upstairs, maybe she got targeted again because she's speaking with with these people. And Marika, it's Marika, right? Yeah, Marika, she actually has the demon removed from her by performing a ritual. It successfully removes the demon from her psyche. And she lives on normally from there on, pretty much, with the exception of a huge psychic blast that happens when Kobayashi and Hori go and find the little fetus baby. And like, Like, I don't know. Like, to me,
Oh yeah, she does live on, doesn't she?
she lives
Yeah.
on, and the cameraman live on because they weren't there. They didn't actually interact with the fetuses that and the
And the
Kara
kid,
ghost,
yeah.
Kana ghost. I keep saying Kara. I don't know. I think you can infer a lot, and we could chew over it and sort of like discover different avenues for it. But at the end of the day, to me, none of that really affects the effectiveness of this movie, which all comes from the fact that we don't have all those answers, and it's presented in such a way that it feels, even though I obviously know it's not, it feels authentic.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and that's what a fucking found footage movie is supposed to be. It's supposed to feel authentic. And then when it does something, like, inevitably, especially in America, there's a few scenes where it like plays on the oldest trope in the world, or it like the actors can't hack it quite as well. And to me, this felt like well integrated. It felt like removed from all that. Like, it hadn't had like the distress of consuming all of that other material to sort of like form how it should be, quote unquote.
Yeah.
It's sort of like presented like a documentary should be, which is the whole point of a fucking found footage movie in mockumentary style.
Yeah.
Yeah, it felt a little tiresome. The rapid pace of it all felt a little tiresome to me, I guess. And I'm not so worried. I'm not so worried that it doesn't like tie up all the loose ends, but it almost seems like they're just almost throwing shit at the wall that they hadn't really fully planned out. You know, they're just like, I don't know, that's a weird thing. Let's throw that in there too.
Yeah.
It starts to feel that way because there's so many beats.
But
that are just
the fact that there's so
fire.
much that does fall in line with sort of like what's being told in the story, the fact that so much of it can be explained by the text of the story tells me, like, at least to me, that means it's in a movie that's not found footage. I would see that as a flaw, because you're being told a narrative story. Your immersion is based on the like the metaphors and what like it's based on, like, you know, the actual like feeling that's being thrust onto you. Whereas in a found footage movie, it's about experiencing it as if it were real, and real things are messy. So messiness is just more acceptable, and that's probably one of the reasons it's so proliferated as a genre, is because you can be a little sloppy and it can actually work to your benefit. So
yeah, it can, yeah.
And as far as the length of this, I can't, like, that's kind of a matter of opinion. For me, I was like pretty fucking tired and drunk, so yeah, like there was a part of me that was like, okay, I'm really enjoying this, but goddamn, can we move it along?
Yeah.
And literally at the end of the documentary portion of the movie, I stopped the movie. I thought, oh man, it's over. That was pretty good. And then I like looked at the little bar underneath the shutter thing. I was like, wait, there's still like 8 minutes left in this movie.
Yeah.
That can't be all credits. So I jumped back in, and I almost missed like the most gruesome scene of the whole fucking movie.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It was a little long, and like in my experience did not help, but like taking it unbiased, like kind of removing myself from that, I still think, yeah, there were some things that could have been trimmed, but I kind of enjoyed every part on its own merit, I think.
I do wonder if maybe there's some like connections that are more implied than said, and we're losing that in translation. Like maybe more of it does make more sense if you're a Japanese speaking person.
Maybe. Like I know I read somewhere that like pigeons can, or like just avian creatures in general, can be symbols for a lot of things, inclling harbingers of death. So
yeah, like if
I
it
didn't
were
know that.
crows
like
or
shit like that, we can't know.
Yeah.
Like yeah. So, and who knows what like monkeys would be, and who knows what symbolism is surrounding fetuses in Japan. We, like, not us. That's the answer.
Yeah,
people know, but we are not those people that know.
I did like how all these different characters were like experiencing the same demon in different ways, and specifically Tin Hat Man like translating him differently. Like he saw the pigeons in the future and just kept screaming about pigeons, and you think this guy's just insane because he's wearing tinfoil. And then he starts talking about like the ectoplasmic worms or whatever. And like later in the movie, you're like, he just saw the crawling fetuses. Like that's what he said. And that's like such a crazy, interesting way to interpret that. Yeah, me too. it's that dude is
He's
crazy
a
interesting.
necessary like sort of like bright spot of activity in a movie
Yeah.
that's very subdued otherwise.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's just out of control. And I love that his, like, when we finally go into his home and he gets interviewed for a few minutes before he starts going ape shit, he, like, has a vision and he draws out this map, and that's how we find this other apartment building with this dude who's got a bunch of pigeons, and it turns out Isha used to live there. But when we're in Tinfoil Hat Man's apartment, like, the, like, walls, like, everything is covered in tinfoil. Everything.
He's got like a
I
little
love that
tinfoil
visual.
like tent that he gets into.
Yeah,
Or
he
not
does.
tent, but
Yeah.
just like this little box.
Yeah.
Dude.
And that's why
His-
like his death in a fucking metal fucking air duct,
Yeah.
like visually
Dude.
I thought that was great.
Oh, man, I didn't even realize. You're right. That is dope. That man's tinfoil budget is through the roof.
Good thing
Fuck.
it's cheap. I
Yeah.
love the only thing that was kind of weird about it is how he's introduced, which was on a variety show. They're like,
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
we got this famous, like the
I-
way they present it's like, we've got this psychic here. And it obviously
Yeah.
looks like
See-
a homeless man who's
He
covered in
does.
tinfoil.
Well, see, that's what I like. Like, the one thing I want to say about that is, I think maybe maybe this was just me, but the variety shows we're talking about, like, to me, they had more in common with like the Steve Brules of the world than they did with the Entertainment Tonight's of the world. Like, this wasn't Sonny and Cher we're talking about. These are like,
Right.
to me, like morning shows that are on like the 100th channel of whatever 100th station,
Yeah.
you know. Like these are celebrities only by like they're celebrities like we're fucking celebrities is how I think of it. So they have the same level of rigor when it comes to picking their guests. They know, oh, we have a super psychic. Somebody says a super psychic lives here. We'll put him on the show. And then this girl goes there and she's looking at the camera and like, should I leave you here? Should we
Yeah.
leave?
You give us too much credit, Randy.
Yeah, that's true actually. But yeah, like I kind of didn't see it. I saw it as somewhat rinky dink, like I thought we were supposed to take it that way. That's what I meant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess it was kind of hard for me to tell. I didn't think it was like super high end, but I figured it would be just like a random late night whatever program. You know, throw it
Like, you
on
think about,
for,
like-
for laughs.
Like it made me think of, this is so fucking weird and from the dark history of my brain.
Yeah.
But like Ease Wild On. Do you remember that shit? Like
Vaguely, yeah.
or like David Tell's Insomniac, that sort of thing.
I
where it's
remember
like,
that.
like video,
that.
like just show. Those are more produced than this shit. But it's like the low end version of trying to do that, where it's like Saturday morning or Saturday like late at night, you might see on a local channel. Oh, it's Jefferson, and he's gonna go to every bar in downtown and see who's there, and whatever happens, baby. Like that's what it's like public access feeling.
Yeah.
He's only drinking Malort tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Tune in to find out what happened.
Oh, Lord.
So yeah. Anyway,
He pukes. He's gonna puke. That's what's gonna happen. Any other things you guys want to touch on before we rate this thing?
I think you got it.
No, I'm good.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's go ahead and do it. Out of 5, Randy, why don't you kick us off? How you feeling about Noroi? Noroi, or whatever. Sorry.
I feel pretty good. I mean, I've been gushing. I'm almost gushing, which is surprising to me actually, because I didn't know that I liked it as much as I'm kind of going on about it.
You're a
Kind of
gusher.
discovering this. Yeah, I'm kind of discovering it as I go. So I've already talked about what I like about it, and it's the sort of immersion factor and the acting and everything sort of like culminating in that way, sort of making it, it's easy to turn on kayfabe for this movie. It's easy to ignore your higher brain function that tells you, yeah, this is a movie though, and sort of like just get the feeling that it's conveying to you. Now that said, yeah, I think there are some scenes that could go away without too much distress. I think it would be fair, even though it didn't bother me, it would be fair to say that it tells more than it shows. To me, that makes more sense, and it added to the immersion. But I could see, like, it's still a narrative movie, and you make concessions sometimes when you make that transition. But I like how rigid they were with the rules of this is a documentary, and how they didn't go that route so often. So that's kind of a matter of taste, I feel like. So I think at the end of the day, it's not a movie that I feel like I would watch too many more times, maybe once more. but not anytime soon, you know? And so longevity-wise, it doesn't get a whole lot of points for me for that. But I feel like I'll definitely sing its praises whenever it comes up. So what does that translate to? I'm going to translate that to let's say a 4. We'll go 4. I'll go high.
All right, Randy with the 4. Juice, how you feeling?
So one thing that's kind of surprising about me, and like I've been critiquing lately, we've had some movies where I'm like, just talking about like cinematography and how things are shot and like suspense and stuff like that, how things are crafted. For whatever reason, like these like found footage movies, even though they're really like cheap, like budget wise, like, oh, a lot of things are like infer or whatever, but they affect me like more. I feel like more suspenseful, like to them. Like even when the chick was just sleepwalking and they just add like a little kind of like creepy music to it or whatever, and she's like tying the knots, that like wigs me out for whatever reason. Like it actually like affects me, which is like strange because there are things
Because it could happen.
are more gruesome, I guess. Yeah, it's just like, but it's like a cheap way to like, I don't actually affect me, which is funny because we always talk about like going to see Paranormal Activity, like in the theater, and now it's literally just people standing around and shit. But so I was like affected by this movie. It creeped me out. There's a lot of details and I don't know if they're all necessary. A lot of them I'm even like having trouble remembering and piecing them together. But they're at the same time, and like a lot of the movies I feel like that we watch, like Japanese movies, kind of feel this way. Like even Audition is like you kind of go, and then at the end it's like, oh, the juice is worth the squeeze or whatever. Like there's some crazy shit that happens at the end, and this, like, to its credit, at the end, like that's the scene where the wife catches herself on fire and the kid gets bashed in the face. And then even the scene where they're in the woods and you see all like the crawling fetuses, and you go into the house. I felt like even though, yeah, it's a long kind of bloated movie, at least they gave me some shit to like leave me with at the end, where I was like, oh shit, that was like some really fucked up, to make me remember, because otherwise I think mostly this movie's going to be forgotten for me. Like it did like creep me out. It had some cool visuals and like some just interesting concepts, but I think eventually I will kind of forget it, and don't really have any intention of watching it again. So with that, I think since it was like a positive experience watching it, and they kind of left me with those things to kind of chew on, or like to kind of burn into my brain a little bit, like chick catching herself on fire and whatnot. I'll give it a 2.5.
2.5 from Juicy J Stains. Yeah, okay. So
Bob, what do you think?
Allow me to tell you. Mathing. Yeah, I kind of said it already, but this movie does ultimately feel kind of like it's meandering a little bit. I do enjoy how it sort of starts off very matter of fact, but like very jarring and disorienting, and you're presented like all these different avenues, and you're kind of baffled as to how they could possibly be connected in any way. But they're all interesting in their own right. I think it starts off very, very strong. Like when the first 30 minutes of this movie, I was like way into it, which is surprising. Because I'm like I said, I'm not a huge found footage fan, but I was like on board for this ride, and then eventually you find out it's almost like a whodunit. You're trying to crack the case. Let's figure this out together, which is also intriguing. And I'm like, all right, fuck yeah, Kobayashi, I'm on this fucking ride with you. Let's do this shit. But it's just like at a certain point, it just keeps like beating you over the head with like, here's a new piece of information, and another new piece of information, and then this is how this character meets this character, and we found another new piece of information, and it never stops doing that. That's the whole fucking movie.
Yeah,
it's not like the first act or the first 2 acts. It's like the entire movie, and it's just like, holy shnikes, man. After 2 hours of that, it's just like a lot. And in it, even at the very end, Kobayashi like literally like hands you his own interpretation of the facts of what has happened there. He's like, here's what I think has happened. And if he hadn't done that, like, I don't know, I would probably know even less than I do, which isn't a whole lot. And it's, if you have to do that after presenting almost an endless amount of facts already, like if you haven't provided enough in 2 hours at this like breakneck speed for the audience to figure it out, to where you just have to like explain it to them last second. I don't know. It's just not very good storytelling, I don't think. And I think a lot of that could have been avoided if they would have cut out some of the bloat and spent more time on the more important pieces of the story. It is a very interesting story, though, even though they don't go with like the alien route, which I was kind of hoping they would, actually, because I didn't see that coming at first, and I was like, oh, that'd be an interesting turn. And also, like, not something you get a whole lot of found footage movies about. It seems like most found footage movies tend to be about like hauntings or possessions or things of that nature, you know, other than like Cloverfield, obviously. But I don't know. I think I would recommend this movie, and I'd watch this movie again if like I had a buddy that was like, I really want to watch a found footage movie that I haven't seen before. I'm like, you know what, this one you definitely haven't seen before, and it's pretty cool. It's not terrible. And I need a buddy. But yeah, it's like overall a pretty fun roller coaster ride, even though it is a little bit tiresome. I think I'm going to land on a 2.5 as well.
Wow. I did not anticipate being so much higher than both of you.
That's blowing sunshine up our buttholes, Randy.
Boom! The aggregate is going to be a 3 even, which not bad. That's not terrible.
I think that's fair. Well, I wanted to bring up one thing that we definitely got to bring up, because I don't know how we forgot to mention it, because we talked about the fetuses, we talked about Kana being like a ghost girl but before that happens, we're told that in order to make all of that happen, like, she is force-fed fetuses. So we have a little girl kidnapped and force-fed fetuses.
I thought we mentioned that.
Yeah, we talked about feeding.
Did we? I don't remember the eating part.
And
talking about the eating part, but damn,
like,
that hit me like a ton of bricks. I was like, was
it like their skulls that were all up in the house? Isn't that what?
No, I think those were like little
masks, right?
Kagutaba masks.
Okay.
Yeah, she made a bunch of
masks.
Okay.
At first, I thought she was like, "Oh, they're making her eat pigeons and stuff," and I would have been like, "Oh, wow, that's fucked up." But okay, but it was fucking fetuses, and I was like, "Oh no."
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, and then her parents like kill each other. It was fucked up.
Oh yeah, her parents kill each other.
Horrible. And like, I don't know. I don't even want to talk about it anymore. That's fine. We have discussed that. Yeah, let's go ahead and jump over into a Rotten Tomatoes segment and see what the users and critics think of Noroi.
Certified fresh to death.
All right, let's hop into the old Rotten Tomatoes segment. This is on Rotten Tomatoes. However, there are not enough critics to count. There are only 2 critics that have rated this, so I can do the quick math on this. So we'll do, it's not official. This is Soju Stain brand. So let's go around. 2 critics rated this.
Whoa!
What do you guys?
3 more right here, buddy.
You only.
Oh,
yeah, I guess no, I won't work.
Yeah,
that's too much. I don't want to think about. So
that's fine.
You've got 3 choices. It's either 0%, 50%, or 100%. So
69.
Well, Randy, you gonna go 60? No,
I'm going 69, baby.
Going 69. Rob, which one do you want? Randy could still win. Yeah,
I'll take 50.
You'll take 50. Guess what? Yeah. Randy's gonna win.
Oh shoot! The comedy number never fails.
Way to win, Randy. It is
when in doubt, 69.
It's a win in doubt. That is the motto to live by.
That is not going to be one of our shirts. All right.
Not yet. All right. Critic Consensus, there is none. Just 2 people rated this. Dylan Scott from Vox and Xena Dixon from Real Queen of Horror. Oh, my Lord.
Xena, that's a good name.
My Lord.
Oh, my Lord. They say these things about this film. Images from its final reel will still burn into your brain. Hey, I said that. Is this me? Am I Dylan Scott from Fox?
Yes. It turns
Hello,
out you work
Dylan.
for Vox.
From
Congratulations.
last year, 2018. And then the other chicks, Xena, she says, truly a disturbing and epic film. So 100% from those two people. Let's hop into the audience score. There is an audience score. User ratings 918. So this is not a super well-known film. I'm curious. I don't know. I was surprised. I didn't even know we were covering it last week, and I had never heard of it before. So
if only you had access to a spreadsheet at any time.
If only I had that. If only I was.
Everybody's always wishing upon a golden star for a fucking spreadsheet.
We have one.
Questionable. All right, let's go in reverse. Bob, kick us off. 918 people have rated this. What do you think their score is?
I feel like it's probably on the higher side because most people probably aren't aware of this movie, and if you are aware of it and have seen it and then take the time to rate it, probably gonna like it. So I'll go 80.
80. All right, Randy.
69.
Bob's gonna take it. Close. You're one off, Randy. God, 69 almost came through for you on both ends.
Yeah, it usually does. 69 being a 69.
Both ends.
It is 75, so you're off by 1 point, Randy. Bob takes it at 80%. Yes, this is a positive movie. People who have seen it are digging on it. So yeah. That's it. That's the end of my segment.
That's the end of segment.
That's all I'm saying right now.
This house has been kept.
Yeah, you can't say that now.
I can't. Oh, I ruined it.
No. Hey, Randy, do you have any trivia?
No. I looked really hard.
Oh, I thought you were kidding.
No, I'm serious. Yeah. Like I looked around quite a bit, and I could find very little by way of like just tertiary information about this movie. It's all just like the bare bones facts. There's only one piece of trivia, and it's something I deduced on my own because I am a brilliant boy with access to IMDb.
A brilliant boy.
I'm being sarcastic.
Who's daddy's brilliant boy?
It's very obvious to very many people, I'm sure, just not me. So Marika, the actress in the movie, Marika Matsumoto, she plays herself in this movie. And she is an actress, and it seemed, which I thought was fucking fascinating, and like one more step of immersion that we just didn't have the benefit of knowing.
Yeah.
And as far as I can tell, she is best known as a voice actress, primarily doing the voice of Riku from Final Fantasy X, X2, and so forth, and Kingdom Hearts and so forth, doing a lot of Final Fantasy character work.
What do you know?
There you go. That's the only trivia necessary. I did not think that was worthy of playing the bump.
You always play the bump, baby.
We're running out of tape.
Yeah, it's very expensive.
Shit
too.
Ain't free.
Yeah. Those
All
bumps,
right.
they cost a lot. You know, we got to pay each time.
So much. We're skipping trivia. You know what time it is? Time to go hunting.
I feel like our normal segments are going to be a little skimpy this week.
It feels that way, yeah.
Cooters, I don't remember anyone really
like the only one that has a really strong one, maybe. Not the only one, but Hori has look. He's got the dress.
Yeah, he's definitely wearing a tinfoil suit.
We should explain what a cooter is real quick.
Oh yeah. Cooter character type. They get a hit on the 4 points, possibly 5. Yeah. Okay. Let's just nail it down. But it's 5 points now. You've been overruled, Bob.
I mean, yeah. 2 against 1. That is how math works. So if y'all are down, then that is what's happening.
Spoken like someone whose butt is not hurting.
It's fine, man. It's whatever.
It's fine. It's completely fine.
It's fine. Math works, you know?
Hey,
it just works.
It's y'all's show, baby. It's whatever.
Cooter character type hitting on the pentagram of points. They have to have some cooter attire. They have to be sexually deviant, manipulation, smug arrogance, and patheticness. Wow, finally rounding it out. Feels good.
Feels
Feels
good.
right
It's
off
the
my-
pentagram feels great.
pentagram.
It
huh?
feels. It does feel.
It
For sure.
feels. So, nobody to me really
I mean, Ori has the
stands
look.
out.
He's got the
But
the,
he's a good guy.
attire.
You don't want him to
but he's a good
die.
guy. Like I like Hori, so like, yeah, exactly. He might land on the pathetic side, but it's like
Yeah, he's
he's
a little
like-
pathetic.
it's sympathetic. It's not just
yeah,
pathetic.
that's true.
like,
yeah.
like you feel for him because he's just like dealing with his uncontrollable psychic problems.
It's definitely the demon Kagutuba. I mean, that's
if
that's
anybody,
good.
right?
Yeah. I mean,
His
I don't know.
face is fucked up.
I don't know. Yo,
Wow.
really your fucking
Wow.
face. Well, I mean, he is definitely manipulating people in that. I mean,
Yes.
well, he's straight up possessive.
Directly.
Also, he like manipulates people to commit suicide, and he forces
he loves
Ishii to
eating
feed fetuses to the fucking Kana to bring him to life. I mean, that's like he doesn't wear things, I guess, because he's a demon or whatever. But his
There's not
face,
a lot of sexual.
his face looks jacked up. Yeah, not a lot of
Except for
sexual
the
going
embryo
on.
thing. That's kind of fucked up.
Is that sexual?
That's not sexual. That's just like
I mean,
cannibalistic.
I guess it
and
could be, but it's
morally
yeah.
debatable.
Yeah, it's never debatable. No, it's not that.
Let's debate the morality
Yeah.
of eating
You
these
know,
fetuses.
On one side, you have
No, no,
Jonathan
no.
Swift, and on the other side, humanity.
I just meant abortion, but that's not what this show is
Oh, well,
about.
no, that's nor is that what this movie was about.
Call to
Well, it works in an
crucify
abortion
Bob.
clinic.
Call
Anyway.
Hotline Scream.
Well, anyway, she like no, that's morally repugnant to feed a child fetuses. So we're gonna go ahead and go out on that limb.
That's
here on
debatable,
Hashtag-
Rob
Hashtag
says.
facts. I mean, what if the kid's like really hungry? I mean, the fetus is already dead.
God,
Mm.
Bob.
You gotta eat.
Hashtag
You gotta
fuck
eat.
Bob.
Yeah, let's cancel Bob now.
It's y'all's show, baby. It's y'all's show.
Bob has lost it with his cooter chain.
So
She's just-
Kagutuba, he's not pathetic. Kagutuba's not pathetic. He
does kill a
does
bunch of
look
dogs.
fucked up.
Fuck that.
Yeah, he's an asshole, but that's not on the
Yeah, I
wrong.
know.
So we got attire, we got manipulation. What else?
Is
We
it tired because of his fucked up face?
yeah, well, he wears other people. I don't know. That's kind of
Okay.
fucked up.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Let's see what.
I think that's the
That's as good as it's gonna get, I
winner.
think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's another one real.
I mean, you
I
could
know,
say
I feel like
Junko
there's
Ishii,
probably-
but she basically is an agent of his.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. She's
yeah.
not herself.
Wait, she
Yeah.
literally gets like 2 lines in this movie, so I
Yeah.
don't think I can do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. I think we got a demon cooter, which I don't
Whoa.
know if we've had one before.
We've had
Maybe.
those like ghost
Maybe.
cooters from the entity. I don't know if they're demons or they're ghosts.
Yeah, I don't know that that's a demon.
I don't know,
No,
man.
I think that's a ghost.
Doesn't matter.
Morally debatable.
It's just oh gracious, just trying to figure it out. Trying to figure it out. I mean, to each their own.
Oh
That's
my
all I'm
lord.
trying to say.
Lord.
Oh my lord.
We
All
need to
right,
get
yeah.
sponsored by Malort.
Yeah, that might not be difficult to do.
Send us those free cases of Malort, please. Malort.
That's our only
Jesus.
price.
So Kagutuba sounds
We
like you got
couldn't
a
give
solid
that shit away.
Kakuderba.
Cooterba, solid cooter of the week. But let's go ahead and let's do a little bit of news since we're light on some other stuff this evening. We haven't done news in a minute.
We
Let's do
haven't
it.
done news in like 6 months.
Oh, really? We haven't. Oh my
Extra,
God.
extra, read all about it.
How are our shows so long and we still haven't been doing news?
Because we just run our fucking mouths too much, man.
Talking.
Man. All right, let me read some of this stuff for the first time live right here because I scrambled real quick to find some news.
I know. I was
First thing
thinking
on
like,
bloodydisgusting.com.
Bob
Here it
hasn't
is.
made me watch any trailers. What are we going to talk about?
Yeah. Patrick Wilson is in the news. He's running his mouth about The Conjuring 3. which of course is only going to be produced by James Wan, which is a little bit of a bummer. I'd be way more excited if he was directing it. But Wilson, yeah, he's been talking about it. He's been quoted as saying, it's a much different feel. It's still the same bones. It's still very much Ed and Lorraine. Again, we are pushing our characters to places they haven't gone, but the film will be a really nice addition because it's definitely a different beast, pun intended. So it sounds like we're going to get a physical beast, perhaps.
I know they always tease that werewolf shit or whatever, but just
Yeah.
no.
I mean, yes,
I don't know how many times I need to say no to this franchise.
I thought you liked the second one.
It's like,
I
yeah,
do.
it's fine, but I mean, God, how many movies have come out since that one?
Okay, well,
Four?
okay, yeah. I was just thinking of the main strand, but yeah, there's a
No.
billion of the offshoots, and yeah, that's a hearty no for me too, man.
Yeah, I mean, because I didn't see the Lost Lauronis or whatever, and then they had the Annabelle 3, which I always got confused and thought was the Conjuring 3 because it had Ed and Lorraine in it, and like it was at their fucking house, their fucking daughter. I don't know, man.
It was
I
the
just-
it
I
was
don't
the
even care.
I don't know. Yeah. That movie was to the Conjuring series what Captain America Civil War was to the Avengers series. It's just basically another fucking Avengers movie.
Yeah.
There is a very brief tagline. It's just the Conjuring 3 is going to be about a man on trial for murder who claims he was possessed by a demon. And James Wan added to that. He says it's the first time in America's history where the defendant used possession as a reason and as an excuse. Which that is interesting. That's an interesting defense.
It
right?
is, yeah. Especially like historically.
I'm not
like, yeah, that's
I'm not
interesting.
excited
Yeah.
to see like that story as told through the Ed and Lorraine Warren doting lens of The Conjuring.
I'm
I don't
not
know that I
either.
am
And the
either.
only way that I find it intriguing is in the way that I find like what is it? Mindhunters. Like it was
Yeah.
that kind of what's like popped in my head. Like, oh, if they're going it from like the
Yeah, but that's
Mindhunter
good.
approach. Yeah, I know. I know. But that's why I say, oh, that's
Yeah.
interesting. Because
Well,
really,
to
that
me,
just
it's
what
like
popped
that's a
in.
much more interesting true crime story. Whereas, like I'm talking about like it'd be more interesting to hear about this court case in the form of like a true crime podcast. Like there was like a
Yeah.
podcast recently, the Red Handed podcast that did this episode about a woman who has multiple personalities, and she won a court case by against her father, who had deeply abused her for years and years and years, and she had created multiple personalities and had over 2,000 fucking personalities, and she had like 6 witnesses in her trial, and all of them were her different personalities, and she fucking won.
That is bonkers.
That's interesting. Like, I'd rather hear the stated facts of that case or the stated facts of the case of the demon possession guy than, the Conjuring version, which is going to be like, even if Ed and Lorraine Warren lose that, it's still going to make them look great. And, they were con artists, so fuck them.
Welcome.
Yeah, we do have a release date for this. It's going to be September 11th, 2020. So we'll be getting that later next year. Got that to look forward to, or maybe
Cool,
not.
cool.
I don't know, but it is coming out. The next bit of news I have here is regarding, speaking of true crime, Netflix has a new true crime docuseries coming out December 6th, 2019. So that's pretty fucking soon, actually. It's called The Confession Killer, which if you are familiar with or have ever seen Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer, it's about the real life Henry.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah, which I have been unable to finish that movie, as you know, Randy. We tried. Gracious. I don't really know much about the real guy, but apparently in 1986, just the early 80s in general, I guess, Henry Lee Lucas confessed to hundreds of murders, bringing closure to unsolved cases and grieving families, even though no direct evidence linking him to the crime scenes existed. He was able to provide authorities with his ability to sketch victims' portraits while citing brutal details of each individual attack. Apparently, they found some inconsistencies with his timeline and DNA testing, though. So the Confession Killer explores how the man once called America's most prolific serial killer was really a complex figure entangled with a flawed justice system. I don't know. That sounds kind of fucking obnoxious to me. Oh, he's just complex. Fuck this guy. If he killed a person, fuck him. Like, much less hundreds.
Right.
Yeah.
And America's justice system is flawed. No shit. But fuck this guy if he killed a person.
And fuck somebody trying to say it. That's just like saying like, oh, a pedophile, they just have like these different sexual urges, or it's like still it's not okay.
It's
like
not okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Their
It's like
brain might not be normal, but that's you can't do that.
Yeah.
It's not okay. Like
that might change how you deal with them.
Complex.
Well, yeah, it could change.
That changes how you deal with them, like
Yeah.
on a justice system level, but it does not change the danger that somebody presents
right
to society,
right.
to reality.
Yeah,
and that's I don't know, that's a very deep quagmire.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe using that word complex is what set me off. He's just complex. Yeah.
As long as that word
definitely does
like
have a more like
preceded
positive
or followed by murder,
intriguing tone. Like, oh, like,
It sounds sympathetic. Like it has a connotation of sympathy, which
it does.
It's like to some extent, like that's what Mindhunter is. Like it's not that you're like you feel like they did the right thing, but it's on some level you're trying to understand where they're coming from.
Yeah,
I guess
that's true.
That's the whole like thing, man. That's a bridge people have been trying to like gap people have been trying to bridge for a long time. Is what is appropriate? When is it appropriate to feel sympathy for somebody, and to what extent? Like if you murder a bunch of people, you lose a lot of fucking sympathy. I'll tell you that. That's unavoidable, and I do not begrudge that.
It seems as though on the one sheet here that I'm looking at, the tagline says like they got the confession, they got the conviction, but did they get the killer? So maybe they're positing there is another killer that went free.
Oh
which
yeah,
that could be interesting then. Yeah. Just that little bad. And I don't like that. Oh, he's a complex figure. But yeah, maybe there's another dude that just went free, which would be interesting to find out more about that. I don't know. I some true crime stuff is interesting, and some of it just toes the line of like being like just gratuitous, and not unnecessary. And I don't know. I'm a little torn on it somewhat, but I don't know. It could be good.
I think there's like a lot of value in true crime, but yeah, it can be done like tastelessly, and it can be done like it can be done for a buck, and it can be done for the wrong reasons. But to me, like there's still a value in sort of evaluating what real people are really capable of and the extent to which they're capable of it. But whether or not that's it's worthy of being considered a form of entertainment is another question. Is it if it's approached from an educational lens or from like that, then I'm totally on board for that. But if it's approached too much in the vein of like an entertainment program and like a Piers Morgan special instead of like a fucking documentary, then we have a problem in my mind.
Yeah. So yeah, keep your eyes out for that. Drop in December 6th if you're interested in some true crime. Could be worth checking out. And to be honest, like I am very much a fan of Mindhunter, so it's not like I write all of this stuff off. And that is very much, that's got a lot of entertainment value, but it also is like, like historical fiction, I guess. So it is like somewhere rooted in reality, which is interesting to see.
And it explores like humanity's darkness in an like not an educational way, but in a like, I don't know, an exploratory artistic way. It's not just doing it because it puts butts in seats or because of it's a spectacle. It's not exploiting it, I don't think.
It doesn't feel that way anyways. Yeah.
That's how I feel about that one in particular. Yeah. That's not even true crime.
There's definitely there's room for a discussion on that for sure. But
yeah,
that show's good. Last bit of news I have, which is, I don't know, we've talked about this briefly. So Blumhouse is dropping their remake of Black Christmas on December 13th, Friday the 13th of this year.
And compete with the Straight Chillin' Crew bracket of blood.
They're going down, baby. About. They're going down. Ain't nobody seeing that because they're going to be voting for hours on it.
Mm-hmm.
So the news regarding this, if you want to even call it news, is that apparently it came out that it's rated PG-13 instead of R. It's for violence, terror, thematic content involving sexual assault, language, sexual material, and drinking.
Sounds like boo-boo to me.
That PG-13, it really is like a pretty good indicator. Like, I wish that wasn't the case, because it's possible to make a scary PG-13 movie. We've seen it before.
Yeah, that's true.
I can't remember where, but we've definitely seen it.
13 Ghosts. No,
but it's just so uncommon that a PG-13 horror movie actually hits any like, it does anything beyond catering to teenagers and like people who aren't looking for anything beyond of any sort of depth whatsoever.
We like our shit hard.
We like our shit, like, it doesn't have the it doesn't have the rating to go deep into like the gore and the spectacle, like to the level that horror fans enjoy, nor does it have the
it doesn't have the yabos. That's for damn sure.
It doesn't have the yabos, but it also is like, it's usually
Randy.
It's
been a while,
not
but
going to
you're
take
gone.
things as seriously as you might otherwise.
Randy, we lost you for a few seconds there.
You made some good points, I'm sure. It's been a while, though. It's been a hot minute since we lost you, my guy.
It's all right. I was making a dumb point.
That's okay. PG-13 sucks. Though, we all know it sucks. It sucks. Okay.
I actually don't feel that way.
Bob, you feel that way. Okay.
I don't. No, I think there's actually a decent amount of solid PG-13 horror movies, and I don't like, as long as this movie isn't straight like made for teens, which it sounds like it is. I might enjoy it, but I was thinking about the original Black Christmas movie, which is like an absolute classic. It's an amazing movie. It's got some decent gore, but it has no nudity. I think probably the only reason that movie was rated R is because of the language. It has some really harsh language, but I think that's the only reason. If they cut out a couple words, it probably would have been rated PG-13 too, if PG-13 even existed back then, which I don't think it did, actually. It would have just been PG.
It probably didn't, yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, because that was like late 70s, so it definitely didn't exist back then. It would have been PG.
It tends to lead to some pulled punches, it feels like.
It can. I'm not saying that that's impossible, but I think a lot of nerds are like, well, the original is real fucking hardcore, bro, and they're really taking the piss out of it. And it's like, yeah, I mean, maybe it was hardcore, but maybe not as hardcore as you might want it to be. Like, it's an amazing movie, but not because it's like fucking blood and titties everywhere. Yeah, bro. That's actually
they might be thinking of the 2000s version.
Maybe, which is terrible, and it's rated R. So fucking, it doesn't really matter that much, I don't think. Chill out, nerds. Fucking A. And maybe this movie sucks. I don't know.
This says Bob in full rage mode.
Yeah.
Chill out, nerds.
Why don't you chill out?
Nerds. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. You need to chill out. It's like, God damn.
Get a fucking grip, you pieces of shit.
Oh, man. All right.
Yeah, some nerds definitely need to chill out.
Thank you. I needed that. Let's go ahead and move into our Hotline Scream segment. You fucking nerds. So yeah, we got one voicemail this week. If you would like to call in and leave us a voicemail, you can hit us up at 904-638-3231. We got one this week, like I said. Calvin called in. Let's go ahead and hear what Calvin has to say.
Hey guys, disregard that first message that I left. I wasn't really prepared to to tell you guys what I was trying to say, but I wanted to do something a little bit different. I wanted to tell you guys how I came across you guys, and that is I was searching through Spotify to see if anyone reviewed the movie Get Out, and you guys were one of the first people to show up, and that's one of my favorite movies. And this was about a month and a half or 2 months ago, and I stood with you guys because the way that you guys reviewed movies and stuff I really enjoy, and you guys are pretty funny. And I need something to listen to throughout the day because I'm a mailman and we have long shifts. And I've almost listened to every single one of you guys' podcasts, actually, or casts, or however you want to call it. Don't mind me. I don't really do this too often or leave voicemails, but I don't know what else to do. The other guys that that call you guys on the regular, they're more sophisticated than I am. But I really enjoy you guys a lot, and I wanted to ask you guys, what are your 3 favorite movies in all horror, drama, romance, whatever it is that you guys like? My top 3 are Halloween, Get Out, and A Requiem for a Dream. So I just would like to know what you guys like. All right? So keep chilling. Bye.
Hey, thanks for calling, man. It's good to hear from you. I always like hearing from like new people for the first time. There's we don't know everybody that listens to our show.
Stop calling us Hydraberg.
No. That's absolutely not what I'm saying. It's just, we just kind of like
definitely
we
don't
drop
stop
these,
calling us Hydraberg.
Definitely don't. We drop these shows out sort of into the void, and there's some people that we know that listen to us because we engage with them fairly regularly. But the vast majority of people that listen to us, we have no idea who you are, and it's always interesting to hear from new people. I always really, really enjoy that. I never knew that we had a person listening to us that was a mailman, just like walking around with us in his ears.
All of
cool,
them
man.
are probably mailmen. I think they're just the mailman podcast.
That's who we are. We
appeal to the mail workers of America. That's our big audience. We just don't know it.
We're here for the USPS, baby. That's we're government funded, actually. Which
what my big takeaway from that is our Get Out episode is towards the top. The algorithm works, baby. Woo-hoo. We're doing it.
Straight.
He
Months
searched
and years
for
later.
that specifically, though. I gotta say though, if you've only been listening to us for a couple months, handful of months, or whatever, you listen to almost all of our shows, dude.
Wow,
I kind of want to apologize.
Hashtag.
That's a lot of us.
Yeah, that's a lot of us, and that is. Ooh, that's more us than I would wish on myself. That's I can tell you.
Yeah, I don't think I could do it. So thank you.
Thanks.
I barely made it the first time.
Thanks for all the love, and honestly, just glad that you enjoy the show, man. And feel free to contact us anytime you want.
Well, what's our 3 movies, Bob? You want to start that?
No, because I forgot to think about it.
We doing horror again?
No, he said of any genre.
Any genre.
So I'm going to go on here with a huge, massive asterisk that says, I hate quantifying this stuff because inevitably my answer will change as soon as I remember like 30 other movies.
It evolves. Yeah.
But I'm gonna do myself a favor and go to my go-to movies that I know I enjoy every time, and I've seen them upwards of at least 15 times. All right, Clue is number 1. Clue is number 1. So these tend to be childhood movies because I've seen them more than 15 times. Then maybe Willy Wonka. I love that fucking movie. I'm going away from horror too because we talk about that all the time because it's a fucking horror movie, I guess. And then let's see, what's something that's not from childhood? Maybe come back to me. I did too. Somebody fill the gaps here.
I feel for whatever reason, the same thing happens like with shows and like movies.
Mm-hmm.
I watch movies constantly. We watch one a week. I'm watching them in between then shows I've watched. And anytime anybody's like, oh, like what's something you like fish? It's like all of a sudden I've never watched anything. It's like, oh shit, like what do I know? I don't know why my brain just like completely shuts down. So Randy was kind of sparking some good things like, oh, what kind of childhood movies do I like? So
you got served.
Stick with some of that. Like Hook was always one of my favorite childhood memories and is the one that I watched when Robin Williams died. I watched Hook when he passed, and that's all I have right now.
Okay, I got 3.
Bob, go.
3 while y'all continue thinking. Also, Calvin, Requiem for a Dream. Wow,
holy shit!
That movie will make me just feel like a terrible, terrible human. That's a bummer movie. So
it's a well-crafted movie.
It's
respect.
It's amazing.
It's great,
but damn, it's a bummer. Okay, so yeah, my 3 off the top of my head, Office Space is without a doubt one of my favorite movies ever. I have seen that countless times. I watch it at bare minimum like twice a year. I throw it on like anytime I'm bummed. It's like a quick pick me up. I love that movie. Randy, Clue. It's I love Clue.
Duh.
I
It's a
fucking,
duh.
fucking love Clue. Tim Curry is brilliant in that movie. And then my third one, another movie that I've seen like countless times, grew up with, all-time favorite is Jurassic Park. That movie's amazing.
Jurassic Park, nice.
And maybe a horror movie if you're Justin. I don't know.
I'm just gonna throw one in here just because I know I love it. I'll always love it, and it's been talked about many times in this episode. It just seems like the likely candidate for the moment, and that is Sleepaway Camp. Sleepaway Camp's a classic.
How about Christmas Vacation, though?
Yes.
God damn, if I haven't
Yes.
seen that movie more than maybe any other movie in my life.
Dude,
We watch
there's
that
fucking
movie
Back to the
every year.
Future. Fucking
Yeah.
There's too many options. There's too many
Silence of the
options.
Lambs. Fucking.
We
Oh,
watch
God.
Christmas
One Flew Over the
Vacation
Cuckoo's
every
Nest.
year together.
God, I
eating
love-
some za.
Love
Return of the
Christmas
Living
Vacation.
Dead and
Yeah.
God damn.
There's
it's
too
just
many.
It's
so good.
hard. It is hard.
Yeah.
I'm even
We like
trying
a
to,
lot of
look,
things,
yeah,
man.
we
And
watch too much.
You ask the hard questions that we just can't answer.
It's tough. It is tough. I don't know. Do y'all have anything else to solidify in there? Or are you good?
Not
You
really.
good with your
Nothing
answers?
that like sticks out in my mind. I
Oh,
guess.
brother,
I
where
do-
art thou?
Oh, that is a good
Yeah.
one. Oh man, yeah.
Yeah.
So much. So many good films. Thank God.
Yeah.
Thank God it's not limited to 3.
Yeah. Scream would be way up there for me too. Like maybe
Yeah.
number 4. I don't know.
Yeah.
It'd be,
You
yeah.
like
Yeah, it's a
Scream
good
more
question.
than Halloween, Bob?
Oh,
As a singular film?
maybe.
We should make
Actually.
other people
Yeah.
answer this question.
Yeah.
Wait, hey, we got a hotline. Why don't you call in
Hey,
and tell
hey,
us
we got a hotline.
your top
Yeah.
3 non-horror films?
I
There you
like
go.
that.
Do that.
I like
Yep.
that. Or
Give it
I mean,
some
if
think.
just top 3 all time. Like I don't know. If one
Or
of them's
all
a
time,
horror
yeah, I
movie,
guess
like,
They can
like
be
don't
horror,
pull it
that's
out.
True, yeah.
We're not gonna throw you out.
Please don't
Fine.
pull it out on us.
It is. I mean, it's a horror podcast
But
after all.
consider all.
Yeah, all genres, top 3 movies.
Even
all
if it's
time.
even if it's a movie that is you like for all the wrong reasons. It
I
doesn't
mean, I
matter.
guess don't specifically pull it out, but you don't have to tuck it in either.
Like I put in Clue is undoubtedly in my top 3. But it's not like I don't imagine it should have won some Academy Awards or some shit.
There you
It is
go.
just a great fucking movie.
I mean,
So,
even if you
Go
wanna
with your
just-
heart. Follow your heart.
If you want to throw us just the tip, that's fine too. Just whatever. Whatever
I'm
you
ignoring
really
the
wanna do.
cooter talk that's happening here. You should be ashamed of calling your mothers.
Yeah, call in. Hit us up at 904-638-3231. Top 3 movies of all time. We want to hear from you. Let us know what you got. There's only one thing left to do at this point in the show.
Let's
It's
do
time
it.
to save a life.
Where did Bob go wrong? Were he and his friends sifted way too long through those Blu-ray bins? And it gets worse, he'll have no jet ski, wasting all his dough on those DVDs.
Time for the most popular segment of this cast. It's now more popular than the reviews themselves. We're talking about Bob's Blu-rays. This
God, your hubris.
this is
Continue.
intervention time for Bob. Bob buys a disgusting amount of physical media.
Truly vomitous.
Sexual.
If
It's
you have been
sexual.
tuning in for several months, we have been tracking Bob's purchases in a hope to guilt him into submission to stop buying so many Blu-rays. Instead, if you have been listening recently, Bob has gone the opposite direction. It is November. It is November, and last week, the middle of the month, Bob, you had purchased a total of 32 Blu-rays so far for the month. That's more Blu-rays than there are days in the month.
Yes,
You'd have
that's
to
accurate.
watch a Blu-ray a day, and you still wouldn't be finished with your stack.
And it would not keep
Couldn't do it.
the doctor away. It will keep
Yeah.
the Sea-Doo away.
So, yeah, our whole goal is we will track them, and by the end of the year, we will see, could Rob had just purchased a jet ski had he not bought so many Blu-rays? I feel confident
Or-
that is the truth.
Had he just wanted a jet ski, which
A
He doesn't.
Blu-ray a
He
day
doesn't.
keeps the jet ski away.
Yeah.
Facts, Randy.
Good catch line. That's our next T-shirt.
You ready for the stack? You ready
So,
for the
Bob, give us the stack this week.
Oh, give us the dirty
32
stack. I hope it's
plus whatever
Stack
we
of the
got
week.
this week. All right, Bob, YouTube exclusive. Here we go. Rob stack. It
Oh
is a
my God, it's so
single
oblong.
film. Rob really struggled this week.
Oh man,
That's
really
it.
had to pay off some of that debt from the first few weeks, huh?
Rob
The,
purchased
no.
The Thing. Is that the one from 2010, Bob? I assume.
Yep, that's the only one I picked up this week. I did order stuff, which I'll have next week
Waiting
to talk
on the
about.
package, huh, Bob?
Yeah, there'll be some other things coming in. It was a light week for sure. I tried to show some restraint.
Don't sound shamed.
That's the whole point.
It's a light week.
You're supposed to be ashamed
you're
last
supposed
week,
to be
not when-
happy that it's the light week. That's not the point.
That's the opposite
no,
point.
I meant your shaming me has made me purchase less things. That's what I was saying. That's your
I
point.
know, but
just to
you
make
were
me buy
shameful
fewer.
of
It's
it.
effective shame.
No.
I mean, I don't want to not buy things, but
Well, who doesn't?
shit happens.
Bob, okay, well, good. So you purchased one. It was The Thing. So I'm sure that you are able to finally get through that Blade trilogy that you purchased months ago, right? Since you only had one DVD to watch, you got through it finally, Bob?
Haven't touched it.
You
I
haven't
do have a
touched
stack
it.
of stuff.
What did you-
Stack of stuff I'm working through. Okay,
Oh man,
that's all. Just
can you
calm
see
down.
the screen from behind the stack, or
No,
are you using
I just
mirrors?
hear it. I just listen to it.
Boy, this
Great.
sounds great.
Fuck yeah.
Oh, Bob. So still, though, record-breaking numbers. 33,
So it's-
Bob, for the month.
Today's the 18th. 33 in 18 days. Not
Yeah.
bad.
I don't know if
Doing-
that's how I would describe the situation.
I mean, doing pretty good, really. Honestly.
I don't know about that, Bob.
You know, you know what they say at like AA meetings and shit is like, I was I was drinking every day and just smoking my asshole out and shitting all over the
That's what
floor
they
or
say.
whatever.
That's what they say.
This is what one guy I imagined once said. But I always thought I'm doing good. No, it's from the fucking Wire. I knew I heard that somewhere. It's from the Wire. It's like, I was tripped out every day. And all this shit. But I kept thinking to myself, man, you got it great. And that's you, Bob, except with Blu-rays.
There you go. You got it great,
I-
huh, Bob?
I do have it great. I got a lot of shit to watch. I'm not complaining. I'm fine. You guys have
I'm
problems
fine,
with the way
okay?
I'm
I just-
You're
I
the
just want
ones
you-
with the problem,
You
not
have the
me.
problem.
Yeah.
Spoken
You
like a
nerds need to
true
calm the fuck down.
Spoken like a true addict. That is intervention, Bob. That's what we're hearing today.
I'm walking on sunshine.
Everything's blue for me, baby. Streets are paved in blue.
But the
Oh,
come
my
downs
Lord.
are rough. No wonder you're feeling bad. You just got the one DVD this week. You're riding low.
Whoa.
Yeah, I gotta buy more. That's true.
Oh,
That's all we got this week here at Straight Chilling. We're gonna be back next week with a new show. We're talking about the November poll pick winner. Finally, we're gonna be talking about Rob Zombie's 31.
Yeet. That's my reaction.
That's a response.
That about
is a
sums it up.
Response.
Yeah,
I mean,
that
yeah.
sounds right.
All right.
So I am.
Yay.
I'm excited. I'm not really excited to watch it, but I'm
I
excited
will
to talk to you
say
guys about it.
our last poll pick that focused on this was movies that Bob hates, and that was Halloween Resurrection, and that episode is fucking hilarious.
That was fun. That was a fun one to talk about.
Yeah.
I
So
was
listen to Straight
annoyed.
Chilling Podcast wherever available.
A commercial on our own
Boy.
show.
We're really filleting ourselves right now.
Yeah.
We're
We are
really
the
just
best.
rolling in our own shit.
We got a Blu-ray connoisseur on deck to tell you.
We watch bad movies and we spin gold, baby. We turn that shit into
We
gold.
pronounce foreign films very well. Experts.
No
here.
Lori.
Very
We're
professional
talking
stuff.
about no Lori.
We talking
No Lori.
Noroi Jenkins, the movie.
So yeah, 31 is definitely on Shudder. If you got Shudder, you can check it out there. I'm not sure if it's on. I don't think it's on Netflix, but
You can
I'm sure
also buy
rent
it on Blu-ray too.
You can buy
You
it.
can do
Yeah,
that.
it is actually
Oh, yeah.
extremely cheap if you want to buy it, and it's like $5 or something.
Yeah, only like $15, $20.
Yeah, that's what Daddy needs.
Daddy needs a new blue.
That's going on the compilation.
Daddy
Oh,
needs
you're
a
making
new
it?
blue.
Oh, you're making it? So until next week, please rate, review, and subscribe to us on iTunes. Dropping us that rating and review really helps us out. It helps people find us that don't know we exist. It's an easy way to support the show that only costs a minute or two of your time. We really appreciate it. You can hit us up on Twitter at str8_chilling, on Instagram at Straight Chilling Podcast. You can send us an email through our website, straightchillingpodcast.com. If you want to join in on our daily Slack channels, hit me up on any one of those social media platforms. Let me know, and I'll send you a link to join that. We talk about the movie of the week, talk about TV, talk about music, talk about all kinds of spooky stuff, all kinds of stuff all day long. Don't forget about our Bracket of Blood coming up. We'll talk more about that as December approaches. And I think that's it. So until next week, as always, all you mother truckers, please keep chilling.
Yeet. Daddy needs a new blue.